Good morning. Sorry for the delay. We were having some technical difficulties, so
Yeah, we can't run our phone.
yeah, no. we got Wi-Fi problems, so hopefully we don't skip too much here. But I think we've got everything solved for now, anyway.
Yeah.
But today we're going to be talking about, and we may actually have to split this up into a couple of episodes because there's a lot to talk about. But we're talking about basically translucent to opaque stones. So some of these may have a little bit of light that goes through them, but for the most part they're opaque. So they're not going to have any light that actually transmits through them. So
A lot of these are done in beads. A lot of them are carved, and then a lot of them are in cabochons.
some are big enough pieces that they make other stuff out of other than just jewelry.
That's true. What do they call
Boxes
that?
and
What do they call that? Object d'art or something like that. They got some French name for that. No.
statue.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've got a lot of different stones to talk about, and some of these are really fun. You may not see them in fine jewelry a lot, and some of them, that's the only place that you find them in. They're just kind of this is a big old mix of a group right here, because we're not covering just one particular type of stone, other than they all have in common is that they're opaque.
Yeah. Can't see through them.
Yeah.
Or can't get light through them.
Yeah. You know, they may have some places where it goes through just a tiny bit, but it's definitely not something that you can just see right through.
Mm.
So, I guess we want to start with probably the most common one that people are going to see.
The most common one.
Yeah. The turquoise.
Mm. Yeah, I guess we could do that. I didn't know that was going to be the most common one. But
Well, that people are going to see it. I mean, you're going to see more jewelry with that in it than you are pretty much any of these others on a day-to-day basis.
except here.
Well, yeah. Yeah, except here. So, turquoise. Everybody has a pretty good idea what that color is because it's used a lot to describe other things. You know, we have a car that goes by that, oh, that's kind of a teal or turquoise color car. Or,
I'm gonna
turquoise.
model. Maybe. So
we got
this is. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
This is turquoise. Has no matrix in it.
By matrix, we're meaning. Let me grab these here.
Oh yeah, here's some beads.
By matrix, we're meaning this little black stuff that's in here. That's pretty common in
A lot of
turquoise.
people think that the matrix is what makes the opal, makes the turquoise. But actually, the best turquoise is a robin's egg blue with no matrix.
Yeah. So about what that is.
Yes,
Yeah.
that one ring that I just showed you.
Yeah.
The original, I'm going to say the original turquoise, the good stuff, was from Persia or Iran. And I think that's pretty much mined out, but that would have been back in Cleopatra's day. But that
She was styling.
She was. But that was, at the time, up till it got all mined out, that was the finest turquoise in the world came from Iran. And I don't know how long those mines have been out, but it's been a long time. Back in the 70s, turquoise kind of came around again, and the Indian
really
jewelry,
popular.
yeah, Indian jewelry was used a lot, and I can remember they had, you know, the different mines like Bisbee Blue. That was actually a copper mine, but turquoise has what main component that makes it this blue is copper.
Yep.
And so there was a lot of turquoise that was coming out of that mine, and I've heard stories of, you know, they were after the copper, they weren't after the turquoise, where they would just grind up boulders of turquoise.
Just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they were using it as ore.
Yeah.
So.
And then you've got the 70s comes around and it becomes really popular again, and there wasn't a ton of supply at that point because it wasn't popular up to that, and then that kind of birthed the synthetic stuff, which back then was being made by the Gilson Company. That
And they had plastics that.
yeah, they had plastics and stuff, but if you wanted the turquoise and you wanted the real nice look to it and the feel and everything, they had the synthetic, and
And that
you know,
may have been.
it was difficult to, especially then, it was very difficult to tell the difference between the natural and the synthetic stuff, the high end stuff anyway.
Because it was, and one reason why Colton said that is, we didn't have, like on transparent stones, you couldn't actually look for inclusions or whatever in this opaque material, and so they had a little bit of an advantage because you had to basically just had surface to figure out what was going on, and they got really good at making.
Yeah, that's a big plus if you're trying to make an imitation or a synthetic of a stone. You go to an opaque one, you don't have to worry about inclusions and things like that, because you're just worried about the surface.
And I don't remember enough about this. I was fairly young then. But they even made the matrix to look like some of the
natural.
Yeah.
That that seemed like they were kind of going out of their way to.
But I know a lot of people thought that you had to have the matrix in there to get that, for it to be turquoise, and actually the really good turquoise had no matrix.
Yeah.
But I can remember customers back then that if you didn't have the spiderweb matrix or the Bisbee matrix, or
they thought
I'm
it was
trying
fake.
to think of the one now that they got. It's called is it the blue something, blue moon? I don't know.
I don't remember.
But anyways, a lot of that was based on what that matrix looked like, and actually that matrix could even vary at the mine.
Well, it could vary in individual stones what it looks like. I mean, we've got some in here that, it goes from maybe even a tan to black within one stone, and so, in some cases it may look like turquoise on one end and on the other. For people that are untrained to look at it,
Vericide.
They may think that it's vericide or something else, and
that's another thing. We've seen a lot of
imitation.
Well, not necessarily imitation, but there's another mineral that we just brought up that's called vericide, and it's not actually turquoise. It's probably related.
Yeah.
It's normally a little bit more a green.
Yeah, a little bit.
And maybe a little lighter color, at least what I've seen.
Yeah, let me bring up a picture of it here. The vericide, and actually it's sometimes commonly referred to as either Nevada or California turquoise. But it's more of a greenish color,
and
but it almost always has more of a tan.
Yeah, well, the matrix, the matrix is always a brownish or a tannish color. Turquoise's matrix normally is black or a grayish black.
Yeah, but there's some imitation that we got dyed howlite that will have that black veining or matrix in there that can trick some people. And there is that is one treatment that they also do to turquoise to maybe enhance its color or even out the tone. Sometimes it is dyed, but
that and wax.
Yep.
And then they do. I don't think they do oil. They do plastic.
Yeah, they'll impregnate it with that to kind of
stabilize it,
and
make it a little stronger and bring out the blue a little bit more.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Kind of a weird thing to do,
Not quite as popular. I still think you see a lot of the Indian jewelry and a lot of silver jewelry is done with turquoise.
Yeah, especially you get into New Mexico.
Yeah, Arizona.
Albuquerque, Santa Fe. Go down to the plaza, you're going to see a lot of turquoise.
Yeah.
You may and you may see a lot of imitation stuff too. So
yeah, and a lot of that stuff at the first, when it's like new, whenever they just haven't worn it or anything like that, you probably can't tell it. I mean,
Mm-mm.
it'd be difficult. The the stuff that has the wax in it, we could use a hot point, and you can actually see the wax kind of
Melt away from the
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like you got a wave
That's more of a
going across this-
destructive test,
Well,
though.
you do it on the back part of the stone or whatever, but
What if it's bezel set?
well, you don't do it then. These are easy questions here.
Yes. Yes.
But a lot of times you can kind of tell, especially after you wear that a while, the stone gets a little bit patchy. You'll get like concentrations of colors in certain areas. It
Mhm.
almost makes like a circle or an outline on the stone. So, but
Yeah. But
turquoise has to be treated with a little extra care,
it's a little soft.
a little bit soft, and not necessarily real strong.
Yeah, especially you get a lot of matrix in there.
Yeah.
It basically creates some areas of separation in there. So it will, you get maybe it gets hit just right or something like that. It can kind of break and crumble in those places. But if you take care of it and you pay attention to what you're doing with it, it usually holds up pretty well.
In the Indian jewelry, we used to see a lot of it where the stone was backed with cork or sawdust, and they were
Mhm.
basically trying to make that stone look a little bigger than what it was, I guess.
Yeah.
So gets to be a little difficult to work with.
Sometimes they do that too. If it didn't have like a real smooth back on it that was real even, they'd kind of put
Use
that as a
that to-
cushion to kind of help them set the stone because it's almost
level it out.
always bezel set.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, if they're doing silver, they're going to have to.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, that one ring we've got, this is,
It's prong set, but there's some pretty heavy duty prongs.
yeah.
Yeah. But the other thing is too is when you go to prong set something, you're putting a lot more stress on it
Right.
than if you're gonna burnish a bezel onto it. So, you either have to have a really nice piece of turquoise to prong set it, or you're gonna have to be pretty ballsy to try and prong set some of that other stuff.
Is that a jewelry term?
Yes. that comes into play when you're setting emeralds and opals and tanzanites too. So yeah. So okay, I think we've pretty well
much
covered
turquoise.
turquoise.
Yeah, and we do have some little cabs.
Yeah.
This is kind of like showing you that ring, but
We'll shade it a little.
yeah,
It's got a little bit of matrix in it.
yeah. But okay, enough with the turquoise. And this is the most popular, and
Well,
and
no,
we've got
I'm
one
not saying
piece of jewelry.
I'm not saying the most popular. I'm saying probably what they're going to see the most common of these stones that they would see in jewelry. I mean, it's imitated a lot too, especially in costume jewelry. So,
Okay.
yeah, you want to do that one next?
Yeah, I kind of like this stone. There's a ring that I want to make using this. I haven't done it yet. I do have a chunk of it that I'm going to use somewhere along the line.
Almost everybody's seen this stuff before.
Yeah, this is tiger eye, and these are actually beads. And I guess, do we need to? Where's that light at?
I don't know.
I don't know. You dizzy just following the. But this is like a little necklace. It's actually got some gold beads in there, but I don't know if you can kind of see that tiger eye. Oh, I get
Yeah,
too
you're
close.
too close. There you go.
But the tiger eye almost looks like it has a wood grain to it.
Mm-hmm.
And why don't you tell them what makes up tiger eye? What this is in basically the quartz family.
Yeah, it's gonna be quartz.
This is different than most of the quartzes that you see.
Yeah, and we've kind of talked about this a little bit when we were covering quartz and when we were covering phenomenal stones. Because with the tiger's eye, you're going to get that cat's eye or that kind of banding, which is really obvious on this piece.
And this is the chunk that we was talking about.
Yeah,
but
the chunk.
So one of these days, this is the before, and then whenever I get this designed and all made, I'll show you the finished piece.
Yeah. But tiger's eye falls into what we call a microcrystalline quartz. So It's basically made. Basically an aggregate of extremely small quartz crystals, and some of the way they kind of assimilate and align creates some of that.
Well, the banding is caused by asbestos. So there's actually
Yeah.
asbestos in the quartz.
Yeah.
So, and microcrystalline, it's not like you can see those little crystals. It's, it's almost like a gel that's encasing the asbestos.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, if you
Okay.
get into like the cryptocrystalline quartzes and stuff like that, some of those you can see.
Yeah.
You can
which-
see the quartz
Which
structure.
those would have been in the opaque, and we didn't even bring any of them, like druzy quartz and stuff like that.
I had a druzy quartz. I guess I didn't bring it over here.
Yeah. I was
But
gonna,
we've got some other microcrystalline that we'll be looking at too.
I think Colton had on the kind of preview of this. It wasn't this stone, but this is actually a cat's eye, tiger eye, and you can kind of see that little eye.
Yeah.
I'm not too good at shading this. You can kind of see that eye moving in there. May
Yeah.
have a better one. This is a kind of a marquee shape, and these are cabochons. But what they're doing is they're doing this cabochon so they can focus that light on that eye or make an eye.
Yeah. Actually, I said that backwards earlier on the cryptocrystalline and the microcrystalline. The cryptocrystalline is going to be the stuff that's actually a smaller crystal. So they're going to make up like your onyx and agates and things like that are going to be. And let's see, I've got some pictures here of some of these. So some of the agates. And we get into some of the like chrysoprase and the chrysocolla, onyx, jasper, bloodstone, carnelian, stuff like that. Some of these you may have seen or heard about. I'm trying to find some more pictures of these here. And every once in a while you will run across maybe a dyed tiger's eye, which I don't think we have any here, but they will actually dye the tiger's eye different colors, which is kind of cool. But again, it is a treatment, so it's not necessarily completely permanent with this being that it's dyed. But then you get into like some of the chalcedony. This is a blue chalcedony in this ring, which is really pretty. And so these are going to be semi-translucent, opaque in some cases. And you get chrysoprase. This is a really pretty chrysoprase. So these are all different types of quartz. They're going to be a cryptocrystalline quartz, so it's going to be really small crystals. And we've actually got some here to show you. Let me get this thing open here real quick. But they're going to be like this one. We've got a nice blue or a nice green color that's real even. It does show some light through it, and this is actually one that we put a picture on of earlier. And these stones a lot of times will be carved. So we get into maybe some of the onyx, the ones that are going to be like your little carved faces and stuff like that, the cameos. These are all pretty cool. We've actually got one that's got a little dolphin in it. And so, let's see. Like this one, we got a little dolphin carved in there. And this is actually natural how this is colored. So, real onyx is going to be layered. Most people think of onyx as just being black. And basically like this, and this is the most common thing that most people see in thinking of onyx. But realistically, onyx has multiple layers, and it's going to have a white layer and a black layer. May have some that's sardonyx. And this one's actually brown and white. And then you can actually have some carved tiger's eye. So these are all pieces that still fall into that opaque quartz group. And then sometimes you'll even get assembled ones that are kind of fun, like this little checkerboard tab. But yeah, it's just kind of a fun category because with these opaque stones, you have a lot that, like we said, can be carved. They can be, a lot of them are made into beads. But I guess the good thing is with them too is they also, for the most part, occur in a large quantity. So you can get fairly large pieces, and you can get a lot of them. So, and they're relatively inexpensive, which is kind of nice too. So, doing the beads and stuff, like we showed you the tiger's eye necklace. These are really fun, stuff like that. So you can get big chunky pieces. I know that's kind of a in thing, and so this kind of lends itself to that application being in these opaque stones. So I think we've kind of covered those pretty well here. Let me put some of these up, get those put away here, and we're probably just going to talk about maybe one more here real quick, and then we'll move. We're going to probably do another show next week, kind of covering some of these other aggregates and opaque stones. But this one's kind of fun. We've just got one example here of it, but you may have seen this in larger pieces, and this is malachite. So malachite's going to be actually kind of a deposit stone. So these layers that you see are actually built up over time, and this is going to be basically like you see the stalagmites, stalactites, and caves and stuff. Every once in a while, you'll have one that is a malachite one, and what they'll do is they'll actually slice it, and it'll have these little rings in it that occur from where basically the water has been dripping, and it's starting to grow the crystals. And so you get cool patterns like this here. What's really cool with this stuff is it's great for carving. It does hold a decent polish, so you'll see boxes made out of it. You'll see entire rings made out of it, bracelets, very large pieces. Matter of fact, there is a cathedral, and I've got a picture of it actually. This is St. Isaac's Cathedral in St. Petersburg, Russia, and it actually has columns made out of malachite. So it occurs in large quantities. It's really cool stuff. It works really well for men's jewelry, chunky pieces. Looks really good in bead form, stuff like that. So it's a really fun piece. But yeah, it's something that you're probably not going to see a lot of in the high-end jewelry. It's more kind of, I guess you could call it an art piece, so it works well in sculpture. It's going to be found in jewelry a little bit, but mainly it's going to be just kind of fun fashion pieces. Relatively inexpensive, but it's similar to turquoise, like in hardness and stuff, so you have to take care of it pretty well and kind of watch what you do with it, because it can scratch and chip and stuff like that, but overall, if you kind of watch it real close, it'll wear pretty well. So it's kind of a short show today, and what we're going to do is, as far as our giveaway, we're actually going to roll it over to next week. So remember what you've learned today on these, because next week we're going to ask questions about all the opaques together, and that's going to be your chance to win. So you're going to want to tune in next week, Tuesday mornings at 10:45 for Suzanne's Family Jewels. So check us out next week and have a chance to win one of these awesome stones that we're talking about. We've got a lot more to cover next week, so I hope you join us then, and you'll learn a lot more. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.